welcome to our next episode of Next Level Up. I'm here with Brad Black. He is the founder, president of EO Products. Most companies are built to grow fast, right? Raise capital, scale, and then exit. So, what happens when somebody builds a company to last? That's what Brad's basically done with his company for the last 30 years. Scaled it nationally, somehow held on to his values the entire time. So, what stood out to me is he didn't just build a business, he built something more like a long-term relationship and an entity that's going to live on. Brad, great to have you on.
John, thank you. Nice to see you, folks out there in digital world.
Great. So first question, in your past, as you built this thing, like why stay in the game for 30 years?
Well, I'm going to say that your definition of game is just why have a business that's 30 years. And I never really looked at it as a business. I looked at it as a few ways. One is hey, we need money. We got to work.
Yeah.
And then the other is work is an opportunity to participate in the world, to contribute, to identify meaningful relationships. At least how that is how I looked at it, or we looked at it, and so the game is sort of like the game of life, and business has grown. It's a relationship that I've had, and it's very personal um, because life is that. And so I've just really been committed to that path, and it's developed kind of like a child. And it constantly evolves, yet it's ultimately that it's been a nourishing relationship. It's given me a lot that I need, and probably a lot that I haven't wanted. Yet here we are 31 years later.
Yeah, you bringing it back to the kids reminded me of our first call. Is you said it's like a relationship with your kids. You're not going to just leave it because it gets hard. So where did that ultimate mindset come from for him?
Well, not such a great business person. However, I think we've always said we're great not going out of business people.
Yeah,
And it's really only gotten better, as like kids do. We could relate everything in this conversation of business with children. It's really kind of how I look at it. And so, it evolves in, adolescence, and that has certain different skills and requirements for kids and businesses. And so it's when we started this thing, I started it with my girlfriend. We got married, and 20 years ago we actually got divorced, and we still run and operate the company together.
wow.
And so not only have we stayed true to the business, but certainly in our relationship. And so it's just really been a constant evolution. And when we got into the business in the beginning, CPG, which is like we do lotions and soaps, and we've got two brands. One is called EO, and one is called Everyone. Initially, we just were making products that kind of developed, and we started in the whole like what is developed into the natural food industry. So, it's the Whole Foods, and it's the local co-ops, and organic was just in its beginning, and the kind of the natural movement. So we were lucky enough to start into that, or maybe it wasn't luck. There weren't many natural quote unquote ingredients in the body care sector, and
Right.
we ended up as a manufacturer, not necessarily because we wanted to do that. We needed to do that because natural really meant something to us. We wanted it to be effective, and we didn't want it to have these detrimental impacts to us as the people using them, the employees making them, the earth, and whatnot. So it's it's really just evolved, and new challenges are created, and you just kind of hit them, and kind of move on to the next. But it's exciting. It's a great community, and both from a supplier side, from peers in the industry, and many of the consumers out there as well.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, as some people are listening to this, right? They might be in that 3 year toddler phase. They might be in that teenage 12 or 15 year phase. And, now you're grown ass adults at 30. Uh, one of the threads I hear in all of that, right? How you're good not going out of business, people and everything else, and keeping the relationships going even after divorce is just endurance. You know, basically how to, ultimately taught you how to endure. What in your mind would be, what did you learn from having to endure those points and pain points, et cetera, that you don't think you could have learned any other way, but by going through it?
Well, I think you just said it. It is going through it, and there's no free ride anywhere. And I love the word endurance. It's I think one of the lessons that we've learned in hindsight is no private equity.
Yeah.
That's a different path, and we've been able to uh, be really masters of our own destiny more so than having another set of values come in to drive really our values in a different direction. But it's really just commitment to self and self-expression. It always goes back to me and us here. It's not only me, my partner, however, with the employees. And so instead of calling us a business, I would rather call us like a group of people with a defined, aligned mission that we're coming to a place we call work, and we're less about the product, even though everyone knows us about our products,
Yeah.
compared to how we go about making decisions, making the product. And I think that's a big differentiation. It's meaningful. What is a responsible decision? What's responsible finance or marketing and so forth? So I don't exactly know how that all came up, John. Hindsight gives us a little bit more clarity, but it was always, life can be difficult, and it certainly has a lot of joys in it. Absolutely no complaints, and I wouldn't have a different life. Yet it's not easy, and I've really appreciated the fact that we do have the business after 31 years, and
Mm.
our biggest failures probably relate to us not following what our gut is telling us to do.
Yeah. I mean, you build that too, right, over time with experience.
Yeah.
And I think what you said about the PEs, right? It's like there is that yin and yang, or the balance of, well, you might lower your risk and be able to do some stuff if somebody gives you money, but then your level of control also drops with, so to your point, there's no free lunch. And nobody's handing things out. The minute you do that, now all of a sudden you're on a timetable that they obviously want uh, their ROI from. So tying endurance and sustainability to me, like, again, one of the things that just blew me away was reading, again, I don't have the number in front of me, but it was you guys basically managed a crap ton of virgin plastic going away and moving to, recyclable products, et cetera. Like, talk a little bit about that. I mean, I don't think that was just a mandate. That was something that you guys were, again, in your DNA, your values.
EO, one of our brands, stands for essential oils, and essential oils are an active ingredient. You walk by a jasmine plant, and what you're smelling is the evaporation of that active ingredient called an essential oil. When you peel an orange and you see that little spray comes up, that's essential oils. And so basically it's medicinal. There's a lot of properties in those, but also it's the fragrance. And so that's what we put in, and we don't use any of the synthetic side of things. And so I guess the philosophy was, hey, if we're using this product, if our kids are using the product, our family and our friends are using the product, doggone it, why wouldn't we do the best that we could? And again, 30 years ago, there weren't a heck of a lot of options out there, and there were ingredients like parabens and sodium lauryl sulfates that, there's been a lot of information about them, and they're effective ingredients, yet they are detrimental to us and the environment. And so we just always chose to go with just again, hey, our kids are using it.
Yeah.
And then if you use an essential oil, which is expensive and it's really hard to use. Um, and if you're going with an essential oil, why would you put some other crap ingredient in there? And so maybe we backed ourselves into a little bit of a corner by going with essential oils, but we just continued down that path. Plastic bottles. So, 95% of all plastic that we use here at our company is made from recycled content,
Yeah.
and it's all recyclable as well. And so, again, we're just trying to do our best. Do we do it for consumers? Do we do it? Certainly. I think that we're all beholden as people, to communities. Business has become since the 20s when everyone moved away from their farms and go to the city to like work. Business has become this other vehicle of more of a financial need. And look at really where it's bringing us. So you can make a shit ton of money, like you said, but then what money is valueless,
Yeah.
what you do with it. And so why not just what you do with it before you make the money and kind of integrate it all in together?
And do you think that that is one of the divides that got us off track? Because again, people obviously like to repeat things that they think has won or come out on top, and it's like that's a lot of the reason that people follow the same path, not the path you guys chose generally, right? It's like, let me go get the easy money, let me go ahead and do that thing, grow it for 4 or 5 years, take my exit with the PE firm, whatever, however that works. To me, that does seem to be broken. I mean, in the sense, almost like the plastic conversation. It's it'll work. It has worked, and I think that that's unfortunately, from my perspective, one of the reasons why businesses don't operate with that same level of integrity you're talking about. Because all of a sudden, when that money thing changes, their vision and the future they're basically creating changes. What are your thoughts? And how do we get more companies like you guys out there? I like to think that I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm in that 3 year toddler space, so we'll see how it goes
Yeah.
next couple years.
It's kind of like, John, when do you want to do the work? It's shit, I mean, you come home from a long week at the office and you sit down on the couch and you pop down some chips and guacamole and French dip or whatever it is. It's like we know that that's not necessarily the healthiest thing from us. And then, it's like, God, give me a freaking break. It's when you choose to do it. And it's when do you want to have a hard conversation? And you don't do it tonight, you don't do it tomorrow. It compounds. And ultimately, what has to happen? Does a house have to burn down and then you have the conversation? Like, let's
Yeah,
just get on it. And so I think one of our early decisions was business was hard. We didn't have any money. And the organic and natural thing was just easier. It just wasn't that big of a deal compared to all the other crap. In terms of like getting more values aligned businesses out there, I don't know. I don't know. We're trying to communicate a little bit like, hey, you got options. Life is about how you spend your time. So how many people really have an understanding about how you want to, what's the result of how you want to spend your time? Look, reflect on your life. Where do you want to be in 10 years? And instead of saying, okay, well, in 10 years, this is really what I want to do, put yourself 10 years out from now and look back. And now, what do you want to have accomplished? And so, some of my regrets, like I said, is when I just didn't follow my gut. My gut was like, ain't gonna
yeah,
happen. But then other people became successful that way. Others are saying, hey, this is what you got to do. And it's
yeah.
like, our weakness within comes up. And then
It
you
has.
you take you take that other path. But I think the generation will ultimately change. I believe in evolution. Do I believe that where we're at right now is positive? Absolutely not. Yet we got a lot of problems. And I just think that ultimately a business is in service to other people. It started out that way as barter, and
Yeah,
it's really turned into this thing where it's like it's about me.
yeah.
And certainly we need to have it a little bit about us. We need stuff, but there's a participatory aspect of it that just isn't happening.
And do you think the responsibility of that lies? What's the ratio, I guess, of the company having that responsibility to its people, and then also the people in the company kind of forcing the issue. Like it's like, is it a chicken and egg thing? Is it just the companies need to be better stewards of that mentality of being out there for people? What are your
I would
thoughts?
I would say you take the word company and you toss it out the window. Really, what we
Okay.
are again is a group of people. Let's just talk
Yeah.
about people. Who do you want to work with? Like, what's nourishing to you? What's meaningful to you? Like, just don't give up because you're gonna die and you're gonna look back at your life and you're gonna say, thumbs up on these things, thumb down on these things. Well, what are the thumbs down that you can actually improve on? And probably you want to have some coworkers that you have now that contribute to you a little bit more than they do. So uh, it starts with leadership. People ask me, hey, what are the best brands out there to buy in terms of natural or, not all of this chemical load that's
Yeah.
in there? And it's hard to decipher this stuff because so much information out there is from marketing. And marketing really is about creating a perception. It's not about
Yeah.
really creating a product, it's a perception. And then who the heck knows? So I think that the way you really determine the companies that you're aligned with in terms of meaningful products to you is look at the folks who own it. If it's private equity, probably not.
Yeah.
If it's a Fortune 500 company, probably not, because their values and what motivates them is just not towards quality of product.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
only quality of product as much as it benefits them in making their money,
Right.
which is
Top
what.
line, top line
Right.
revenue, you
Yeah.
name it.
And then none of that's earth, it's not brain surgery, what I'm saying.
Yeah, you'd think it wouldn't be, but it's
Yeah.
not like sending the
Right.
Artemis crew around the moon, right? It's much easier than that. Um,
That's for sure.
you'd think. So great. Like looking at the future. So you've been around this industry for a bit. You've been around, your group of people and shepherding them towards growth and sustainability across multiple lines. What do you think? What is the current model of growth that's actually sustainable and not, carpet bagging and all this negative things just for, grab the it's cool to grab the copper ring, I guess. It just, can you do that responsibly without stepping on people or, you know, what have you?
Yeah, I mean, there's always stepping on people. Bambi runs across the virgin field and will kill insects, and crush the grass and all that crap.
Yeah.
So, reasonable, you don't grow for growth's sake. Like, get that out of your mind. What is a more reasonable growth? Can sometimes you grow at 12 to 15%, which is cranking. Can you grow even more than that? Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, really to sustain the ecosystem, it's probably, 5, 8%. Maybe it's 10%. We're pretty lean and mean and not burdened with a variety of things. But I think it's when you get a huge chunk of money and it's all like private equity and publicly traded companies, it's about driving that profit margin. Growth just kind of takes on a different role. But what really ultimately is sustainable. Yeah,
Nice.
and
Okay.
you don't want your folks to go home and go crazy and work all of the time. You want them to go on vacations. You want them to take weekends off because you've heard it. Happy chefs make better food, and I believe that. So let's
Yeah.
just not go freaking crazy.
Yeah. Ditto. I've never understood the burnout mentality of just drive everybody.
Crazy.
I was at Ernst and Young for a little while and I left for that reason. It's like, it's like if you're not 70% billable, you got to work three jobs and do what I'm like, yeah, no thanks. That's your job to make sure that our clients are paying us. I don't know. If you could, little mini time machine, or you could send a message back to yourself 30 years ago when, and this is really, I guess, for the new founders or the people in that first couple years, what would the messages be that you would want to relay so that, you could either protect yourself or protect the group of people that you knew you were going to be building into and the entity itself? What kind of conversations would you make sure young Brad knew walking into
Wow.
things?
Yeah, it's like turning into a therapy session. Thank you, John.
Well, hopefully it's for the positive, not PTSD.
I always wanted a mentor and never found one in business. I did get a spiritual mentor, and that's kind of helped me just really have an understanding of, well, who's authentic Brad. So, if you can find someone that you're somewhat aligned with, I think that that can really be helpful. And I think another is many of the good things that I do, I have to fail 9 times and then I'll succeed on that 10th time. So
Yeah,
it's like it's just be prepared for that kind of thing. And failure isn't necessarily failure. A failure might just be you didn't get it right. And
yeah,
so was it in communication? Was it in the structure of the product? There's just a variety of things. So part of that is fine tuning, and then it's like, just I'm right more than I'm wrong, and I'm wrong when I'm wrong a lot, when I
yeah,
just don't follow when I don't follow that. But it's I like the concept of long haul.
yeah,
And I love my kids to the moon and back. It doesn't mean that we always get along.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so uh it's just like it's just calm down, and you got this. Trust yourself.
yeah. This too shall pass, right?
This too shall
One way
pass.
or the other. And I love I try to do the same thing, right? Feedback, it's feedback, not failure. And some days that doesn't quite taste right when you got a real bitter pill to swallow. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
it happens.
It does.
Um, Last thing, right? What in the next 3 years, since you're not probably not an AI driven entity as much as some of my other people, because I'm a tech guy and you can read anywhere from AI is going to be a great tool for us to use, like a carpenter and a power saw versus a handsaw. Some places are like you won't be in and you won't have a job in 3 years, right? So thankfully not we don't have to deal with that. But what in your industry, what do you think is coming over the next 2 or 3 years?
We're Well, my business, less about industry. We're really focused on our relationship with our consumers.
Yeah,
It's just really been diluted down and what's meaningful in terms of a relationship. So there's a lot of focus on that from like a quality standpoint, from us driving eco or sustainability, whatever the heck that means. We already got that. Really, what we're focused on is for with all of the information that's floating out there right now, like what's meaningful, what's true. It's just so hard. So we're really focused on that relationship, people. It's really important, and AI is playing a big part. I mean, we're embracing it, and but uh, it's getting a lot of airtime because there's a tremendous amount of money, and there's a lot of positiveness to it.
yeah,
But the wheel had a lot of positive impact on the world. Communication and language, the flushable toilet. It's
yeah,
like that shit really, was meaningful to all of
yeah,
us. Is it the end all? It just isn't. It's like just freaking calm down, and it's like if life is about time, how do you want to spend it? And so I
yeah.
think that that's the biggest challenge that I have is just constantly redefining that.
Yeah, I really love, our conversation today about just relationships and, that you guys you're like me. It's like I'd rather have, 3 or 4 really good long-term relationships than hundreds of little, you're in my life, you're out of my life, or you bought a thing. So, uh, great conversation. And I'm with you. It's like, it lets you be built to last, right? Not just a kind of flash in the pan. I think that really serves why you've been around for 30 years and should be keeping a strong heading into the future still.
That's the plan.
All right, man. I appreciate it, Brad.
John,
Great conversation.
cheers. Thank you.